Hi, everyone, and thank you for tuning into another episode of the Hold On to Your Heart Project podcast. My name is Jackie, and I'm the host. Today, I'm going to interview Shayla. In her childhood, she experienced family dysfunction with a father who was an addict, and she had a rocky relationship with her mother. She's now has a successful business in the health and fitness industry. She's repairing a relationship with her mother, and she's happily married and living her truth. Here's her story. Shayla.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Finally.
Yes, awesome to have you on the Hold On to Your Heart Project podcast. Thank you so much for coming on. It's a pleasure to have you here, and I think that your story and who you are will help inspire or help somebody. So really appreciate your support in the project. I've done like a brief introduction to you, but do you want to just go ahead and share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Hi guys, I'm Shayla. This is so weird talking to nobody right now, by the way. I've been in Cranbrook for a long time. I don't have a lot of family here, so it's like little old me, but I've been here since the 8th grade.
Wow.
And have just raised my family here. I'm a boy mom of 2. I almost have a high schooler. He's going to be in high school next week. It's crazy at the time of filming this. And then our youngest son, Caden, as well. And I'm a wife to my husband, Tyler. We've been married for 5 years, just celebrated the anniversary together for 11. I am, I feel like that's a very broad thing to ask me. Like,
where did you come from?
I'm from Hope, BC.
Okay.
So Canadian, but I moved around a lot. Mom was kind of like, I want to call her like a gypsy soul. I don't know if that's the right term. But yeah, I've lived in like Mexico. I homeschooled in Mexico for a year. I've been in Arizona for quite some time. We lived there. I've been in like Fort Nelson, way up north. So I went along with Mom. So I've got to see some pretty cool places. And then 8th grade, settled here. She was done the moving around. Yeah. She got sick and diagnosed with MS. And back then, like, it wasn't really talked about. So the medicine and everything that we needed was here. And so we just stayed here. And the rest was history. And I've just kind of rebuilt, I must say, our life from then on. It feels like we finally settled. The 8th grade.
Did you like it when you came here, or were you?
I loved it. Yeah. So it was funny. We came here. I lived with my aunt. She took me in the 6th grade. And I lived there for a year, and then we went to Arizona in the 7th grade, and then came back for the 8th grade. And we were here in the 5th also, and I loved it then. And so when she took me away, I was really sad. So it was it felt like home already. So when we came back in the 8th grade and she got diagnosed and we had to stay here, I was like, at least it's here, because I really love it here. And I, was familiar with it, which was not always the case for me. So
And you've stayed.
And I've stayed. So. I tried to leave once after high school. I think a lot of us do that here.
Where'd you go?
I went to Lethbridge. Not sure. There was no reason. Just felt like I had to go and spread my wings and see what else was out there, kind of thing. And yeah, came right back home.
Perfect.
7 months later. So this is home for me. I love it here.
Good.
Yeah.
And so maybe I'll just start. I'll ask you, when you think of the phrase "hold on to your heart," what comes to your mind?
So it's so crazy, because when at first when I was like, hold on to your heart project, and when that was brought up, I got emotional, immediately. For me, that's holding on to your truth. Truly, of your core values and what makes you you in your unique ways and in your flaws. I just feel and so much so more too with society and the influence that it has. But for me growing up, I don't know that I ever knew my truths or my core values or who I was or where I belonged or what I wanted to do with my life, or even the kind of love I wanted to give or receive. I felt almost like the way that we were living. I was bouncing around all the time, and I just felt so lost and never home, to myself. And so yeah, for me it's knowing your truth and really honoring it and standing tall in it and being proud of that, regardless of how you grew up or where you came from or the hardships that you've been through. I know we've talked about that before. It makes you who you are, and I think that we need to learn how to embrace that a little bit more.
So maybe you want to just dive into a time where you've had to hold on to your heart, and you've had to find your truth and your unique
so
self. And
that's, I would say mostly like recently, to be honest. Like I said, my whole life, because I just felt so lost so often. My mom and my dad split when I was 2, and my dad ended up staying in Hope, and they had a reckless marriage. And every relationship after that with my mom was really reckless. And I love her, God bless her soul.
What exactly does that
You know,
look
like abuse and the gaslighting that was done to her, and just like the things that I had seen, and just the love that she allowed. I wouldn't call it love, it wasn't love, but the relationships and the people that she allowed to be in her life and to treat her that way. Like, when we're kids, we're sponges. We see what we see, and we dictate that. That's all we know, and before we know, we're conditioned, and we develop these patterns and these habits, and they don't always serve us. And I just felt like I kind of took everything, and like I said, I love my mom. God bless her soul, and like, our parents only do the best they can because of what they know, right? Like, it's generational shit. And so, can I say that on this? Before I go do that, censor it out. And so for me, just like going through the process, so I never mentioned, but I'm in the health and wellness industry. I've been in it for 9 years. And that really opened the door to like personal development, it started with. And when I had started to read books on self-growth and all these different things, I started to realize, like, I've got some really deep demons. I've got some things that I really need to sort out and figure out. And when I'd gotten into this business and started to build a business around my health and wellness journey, the process of healing came up. And that's where I was like, holy, there's a lot of things. And so when you're trying to build a business and you have a family and you're married and we want a beautiful, happy marriage and to have a loving relationship with my kids, I knew I needed to heal that. And so I feel like, just like, I would say in my 30s really is when I started to realize, like, Shay, you need to figure out who you are and like what you love, and heal the wounds and use that pain as power.
When you said that you knew that you had to, in order to have those things, like a healthy marriage and a business and a good relationship with your kids and being a good mom, like, how did you know, like, what was happening for you at that time that made you realize? Restraining
love. Like, my husband is so loving and he's so supportive, and it's like, it was like, no matter how much love there was, I never felt loved enough, or I would push it away, or I would sabotage, not with my husband now, but in previous relationships, like the sabotage I would do. Anytime anyone would get close to me, it was like, ugh, this is danger, 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 danger. And even my mom in my relationship growing up, it was like, you should be there for me. I'm going through so much. And so I didn't want to project that on my kids. And I just felt like at one point in that realization of like, you're literally projecting all of your stuff on your family. Like, this can't be the way that it is. We need to change the narrative. We need to change the generation. We got to break the chain.
Did someone help you see that, or do you think that you've seen it yourself?
I think that because I've been on this journey of like self-seeking and fitness really truly opened the gates for me. It was like the minute that I started to work out and feel those endorphins, like, I mean, you understand, you release things that maybe emotions and thoughts and all these things that I never realized I had. And so the more I did that work on myself, that's when I was like, I was just more self-aware in the moments of like, ooh, that didn't feel very good. Like, why did I shouldn't have to apologize for doing that. That didn't feel good. I don't want to have to take back my words or my actions. And so, yeah, it was just like, I just felt like it was like I had all this beautifulness around me, but yet I was so sad still. And
kind
I
of
felt
like a block.
Yes.
I'm chipping away at it.
Totally. And just like to be affectionate and stuff like that. Like, you have to love yourself before, it's so cliche to say, but like, you have to love yourself before other people can love you. But like, oh my gosh, is that the truth? Like,
And it usually comes pretty painfully.
Yeah.
Usually, was there kind of like this like rock bottom place for you emotionally that was like,
totally,
I need to do this and it needs to happen fast?
Totally. It's really funny, actually. I actually always thought that I don't want to call them issues. We all have issues. Like, my gosh, we're humans. But like all of the problems that I felt like were instilled within me, I always thought it was like daddy issues. Because, you know, my dad chose the life of drugs and he's not in my life. There was a lot of broken promises, empty, like, I'm coming and I didn't come to my grad. Like, there was so much hurt in that. And so when I had graduated high school and ended up kind of not going off the rails, like I wasn't, but I was self-destructive, 100% I was. And I always thought that was my dad. I'm like, I just have daddy issues. Like, that's my story. That's my story, right? Your dad broke you. Of course you're like that. You could never be loved. Like, your dad broke you. But actually, now that being in this era of being a mom and my kids are getting older and like one's a teenager now, and a lot of it I feel like has to do actually with my mom and my relationship. You know, it was just her and I growing up, and you know, the story that she had always told me was, it's you and me and you, baby girl, it's you and me. Like, you come first. But the actions growing up were not matched with what she was telling me. And I didn't realize that in the time until I was older. And so I think a lot of the anger, right, with that, was a lot of my acting out and just like the pain that is subsided. And even still, like her and I, and if she's listening to this, I love you, Mom. Like we totally are like, we have a messed up relationship and we're trying to like really heal that. She's really sick right now. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could have been a combination of both, but that mom and daughter in it for the long haul, I feel like that had a lot more.
Kind of pinpoint your father for a while or a long time probably, and have that narrative, and then realize, oh wait, there's more to
there's
the story.
Way more to this
Sometimes
story.
Sometimes the para-alcoholic or addict, they are just as dysfunctional, if not worse, because they're allowing the dysfunction into our lives or your life, right? And then, probably. I mean, I'm not an advice giver or any of this, but the confusion that could be created around what is love, what it should look like, and what we accept, and
and what is okay for someone to say to you or tell you or influence on you and what's not. And when you're so conditioned to just believe what everyone tells you that you should be and how you should feel and this is that, like, and that was another thing too, like growing up, it's like we didn't have a lot of money, like, but that's just the way that it was, you know, like this is how we were brought into the world. We will always be in this class, and richer get richer and poorer get poor. And like, those were the stories that I was always told, like, who are you to think you could do this? And so don't be too loud and don't, right? Because, well, I mean, you know me, I'm bold. I love pink. I love glitter. I'm
a sparkle. You're a sparkle.
Yeah, like I am. But it's like for so long, again, we're told in school, like, sit down, shut up, do your work, put your head down, don't be too loud, do this. And it's just like, I think all those years of just seeing and being conditioned, it just like, not until I got to my 30s that I was like, whoa, we've got some problems here.
And you probably really wanted to express yourself after years of not, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm such an expressive person.
Yeah.
Like, if you could ask my husband, I'm always like, let's talk. He's like, about what? I'm like, I just want to communicate with you. Like, I just love it. I don't know. It's so important to me because I never had that growing up. There was no communication. It was like yelling or silence or leaving or running away.
To be seen, not heard.
Yeah, totally. And when you're quiet, you're good. And so,
just fit in the role.
That again, that truth, right? Like being able to speak my truth and saying I came from here and this happened to me and da da da. Like,
how does it feel to kind of own that piece of?
It's been so freeing. Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Did you try to conceal those parts of yourself in your story for some time?
Yes, mostly to protect, obviously, Mom and like the people in my life that this happened with. But I even, like I've told her before, like everything we've been through has only made me stronger. You know, all the places we moved, like I'm so self-sufficient and I am ambitious because we didn't have a lot. Like there's a lot of the things from when I was a kid that maybe it is painful, but I'm like,
you wouldn't be where you are today.
You can't, we have to have those down so we can come back up and realize that there's always a solution. There's always another way. There's always something to be learned. Everything's data.
You talked about some of the narratives that you kind of had to break free from, or the self-beliefs that you had made from that harder time, you know, about like being maybe not having too much money and just the love that you've seen. Like, what can you think of, one from your mom, like a belief that you had to shed in order to get where you are today?
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. Well, I like the money one is huge. Like there was always stress, there was always fights, there was always scarcity all the time around money, all the time. And it was like even when I started my online business, like love my family, but they like laughed at me. They were like, "You're gonna do what? Oh, you're gonna go work out?" Like it was like a joke to them. Like, you're not actually doing that, are you? And so maybe the narrative just became that disbelief in myself more than the narrative itself. Kind of like, oh, well, I have like 5 people in my life. They literally all think this is crazy. And anything that I do, it was like just ridicule, right? Like it's like, what? You're going to do what? That's crazy. So just like a lot of those types of things.
What did you tell yourself then to get to a place where you felt safe enough to trudge through?
I feel like there's 2 kinds of people. You either like grow from the experiences that you've had, or you like take them with you and take that same path, right? And for me, I became a mom when I was 20. Like I was a mom early. I was right out of high school. And it started off rocky. Like I had to work. I was only 20 years old. And so that first like 6-7 months of my oldest, like that was traumatizing for me even. I'm like, I came out of that and I was like, I don't want to be the mom that parties when I don't have them all the time and like be the one that's always broke, because that's the story, right? Like my mom was a partier, she loved her, and we were broke. And it was just like, I remember the day sitting on my kitchen floor. I will never forget it. And I was sobbing. And I was like, this can't be it. This literally, like I'm taking the same path that I grew up on that I'm so damaged from. Like when you're sitting on your kitchen floor crying like that and you're like, this is my life, and my like shitty little 2-bedroom place that I had at the time that was with a roommate, like that was it for me. I don't know. Something just, I was like, this is not going to happen. No. And I mean, it didn't happen overnight. It's not like I like jumped off the kitchen floor, wiped my tears off and was like, woo, changed my life overnight. Like it took.
The seed was planted
a long time. Yeah. It's been, 9 years intentionally trying to get healthy and change my lifestyle around and heal and go to therapy and like do all these different things. But that moment was back when I was like 21. And it didn't get real good until like, until late 20s when Tyler and I started to build a real family. That was important to me. When we got pregnant with Cade, when we had met, I was still sort of like kind of figuring out that I wanted something better for my life, but was still like falling into those old patterns and people and influences. But when we got pregnant with Cade, and that was when like we both were like, let's do this. Like, let's do this together. Let's get healthy together, change our life around. And so,
that's what you did.
That's what we did.
And you've been in your online business, that you've had to fight all the negative stuff around and pursue.
I know, of all the things I could get into when I'm not totally healed myself, was the health and wellness industry that uses social media as a platform. I don't know what I was thinking.
Well, you're probably attracted to it, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, this is what I want.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing, is like, it's so funny how the health and wellness industry, because when you put yourself out online like that, you're susceptible. Like, you're putting yourself out there vulnerably. But I think that because I know that even putting myself out there, if it can just touch one person that's like, I feel myself in this, like then that's when the noise kind of just, it doesn't really matter anymore, And once you have that first message or that first win of like even a client being like, oh my gosh, you totally made such a positive impact in my life. When you said this, it really changed the way I looked at this. And it was just like, this is what I need to be doing for sure. And like, I was not into fitness. I was not like, I had to change everything, my whole lifestyle around for it. But I wanted it so bad. And I think when we want something bad enough,
No, stop it.
we make it happen.
Well, you do.
Well, yeah. Well, again, there's two types of humans, right? And we can all be one or the other. Like, it's our choice at the end of the day.
So so you kind of, did you get hired, or like, tell me about maybe a little bit about the business structure?
Actually it was my really close girlfriend who was partnered with a network marketing company, Body, and she had a really great success. And I was postpartum with Caden, and the insecurities were literally eating me alive. Like, it was bad enough that I had already suppressed all of the trauma and the childhood stuff and the PTSD. Everything was just like stuffed. And then you have a second baby and your body is not the same. And then you're struggling with like the self-love and the insecurities. And so she asked me to be a bridesmaid for her wedding. And I was like, are you insane? Like, I am not getting photographed. I don't do cameras. I don't do photos of myself. And so I was like desperately I just basically was like, give me what you got and I'll work out and I'll like lose a little bit of weight for your wedding and maybe gain a little bit of confidence. But it was like immediate love. Like the sweat, how hard it was. But then like I got through it and I was like, oh my gosh, I can do hard things. Like, that was hard, and I'm crying and it's painful and I can't feel my calves for 6 weeks. But like, I was doing it, and I was like proving to myself that even if people were laughing, or even if my parents thought I was crazy and I was working out in my basement in these like lame ass DVDs, I was like, I'm still doing the thing. Like, I'm changing my life. I'm doing what I said I was going to do. And that in itself opened up the gates for me. I was like, okay, if I can do this, I can change my nutrition around. And if I can do that, I could build a business helping other women change the entire course of their life. Like, I did it. Yeah. Right. And so that's how that all got started. Yeah. And then I started to mentor in the business and stuff like that. And I was able to actually, I was working retail at the time, and I was able to just come home after 6 months and replace that. And then I have not worked for anyone since then.
Wow.
So yeah.
That is a huge success.
Yeah.
And it's like, super like fascinating, because you're probably the best person for the industry, right? Like, someone that it didn't come easy for, that you did have to put the blood, sweat, and tears, that like you had to overcome so many obstacles to kind of pursue that. So I find it very admirable.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
And so what'd you say, like, from then to now, like, what's been the biggest thing in business for you? And
in terms of like, what do you mean?
Maybe like difference in how you view it, or how you feel about it, or just the thing that strikes you about what it was like and what it's like
what it is now.
Yeah.
So since then, like, I've had my online wellness business where I still mentor women through their wellness journeys, and I mentor them in the business if they choose to partner with us in the business. But it's opened the door for just expansion. Like, entrepreneurship to me is so freaking cool. Like, you get to use your story and your pain points as your power, and you get to build anything that you love and are passionate about from that. Like, to me, I'm like, everyone should be an entrepreneur. Like, it's so cool. Yeah. It's like, and so from then, I just saw it as like, cool, an online wellness business, and I can like be a part of the company. But now I'm like, I'm Shayla. Like, yes, I have my body business and I freaking love it and I nourish it and I still build it and I still grow it. But like, I've expanded from that. I'm no longer just like the health and wellness partner. Now it's like, I'm Shayla, this is my story. And I've expanded into like turn up, dance fitness. And I'm hoping to get a studio going as long as we can find a building here and like permanently bring that here in
town. Yeah,
I just have so many visions of like traveling with that and seeing different places and bringing that to different cities. And I'm hosting an event for soul-led entrepreneurs as an MC at the end of September. So like, it just has opened the doors for incredible opportunities that would have never, ever, ever been presented before, right? Had I not just like taken that really scary, crazy leap of faith and like, I'm gonna do life my way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Heck
sick of
yeah.
people telling me what to do, how I should dress, not to wear, what not to say, don't hurt that person's feelings. I'm like, oh my gosh, can I just be me and like own my truth and like set out to what I feel like I was literally called to do. Yeah.
What do you do for like a daily practice to keep yourself kind of...
Oh my gosh, how much time do we have? I'm just kidding. So fun fact
What are your go-tos?
about business and entrepreneurs, you see them doing all the hard, gritty stuff online, but like I do more work on myself than anyone could even know. Like I mean, that sounds really it's not in an obsessive way, it's a healthy way. Like I do the things that I need in different seasons. So it looks different all the time. Right now I'm really much in the season of healing those wounds of my childhood. And so like a lot of meditation. I work out 6 days a week, but it's not always intense. Like, you know, I've got my yoga. I love MMA inspired workouts. I love bar. I love dance fitness and like just finding the joy in movement in general. Like, instead of like intense all the time. But yeah, my meditations, I just recently actually started practicing Kundalini, which is crazy and new, and
That's
still,
breath work. Is that
it's
right?
breath work, yeah, and it's still very uncomfortable, and I'm so new, so don't ask me anything about it because I don't know. I'm only just going into week 3 almost of doing it, but wild, the emotions that I'm able to express now that I wasn't able to before. Like I'm actually like feeling things and I'm not feeling so numb to them. It just looks different. Yeah, right? Like it looks different all the time. And if I'm doing the personal development and I'm working out and I'm doing the meditations and I'm doing all these things and it's not working, I find another solution to my self-help essentially. Yeah.
Where do you think you are at with like healing your childhood wounds? And
so I'm at peace. This is the first time I've felt like peace in all the situations, or like if I think back on some of the things that I've witnessed, I don't feel that like I don't tense up and I don't like start to shake or my heart start pounding out of my chest, or I don't feel like physically ill. I feel just like at peace. And I would say like recently, that's a recent thing. And I will say, I feel like Kundalini had something to do with that a little bit, of just like
taking it
down a notch. And like, yeah.
So what next? What does life look for you next? You kind of healing old wounds, you kind of found yourself, you've got a business of 8 years, is it? Or
Going
more?
on 9. Yeah,
going on
it'll
9
be 9
years,
in February.
a healthy marriage, you got kids in high school. You kind of done the nitty gritty of raising children for, I guess, probably the better part. Mm-hmm. And so what do you see kind of going forward for you with a little bit more peace in your heart?
Yeah, well, I mean, and this is such a fun, so many people would be scared of saying this, but I'm like, I don't know, because opportunities are coming, and like even just doing this, like to be able to come here and speak about this, and then at the end of September to go to Calgary and speak in front of hundreds and hold this whole event together for entrepreneurs. Like, I don't know what's going to come out of that. I don't know what gate that could open for me, but I'm here for it. Like, I want to live, and I'm multifaceted, and I believe that we're put on this earth to like find our calling, find our passions, and like to live it out fully, completely and fully. And so I'm just on the mission. Like,
you're ready for it.
Tell me what's next. Yeah. What are we doing? What projects? What events? Like, I don't know. Who knows? I don't know.
See what's to come.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, I'm really excited for you.
Thank
and you
you.
talked about kind of opening a dance studio potentially here.
Yes. Yeah. So I've always loved to dance. Mm-hmm. We couldn't afford dance classes, obviously, growing up. There was 1 year my mom could do it for me, and I got to go in and I got to get the real feel of like being in a studio and competing for hip hop and musical theater. Those are my two favorite two opposite things, musical theater and hip hop. And I freaking loved it. And then even after that, like even after I had Carter, I was still dancing around in my living room with my girlfriends, or like they'd come over for wine. And it was just like, dance has always just been the way that I could self-express. Mm-hmm. I was a child that didn't know how to self-regulate. Mm-hmm. Anger was very much like a part, it runs in my family when you feel so frustrated. And I just felt, and still feel to this day, that when I'm dancing, it just,
Melts away.
It melts away. Yeah, nothing else really matters. I can express myself through that. And I'm not saying I'm like this professional dancer or anything like that. Self-taught, but yeah, I got a feel for it. And so just recent, like post-pandemic, I hit a really bad depression, like really hard depression. I wasn't sure where it came from, or I mean,
had you experienced it before?
Not like
depression?
this. No, not like this. I've been sad before, but this was like, it got scary. Like I reached out for help, and I had to like tell my family and just like, this is what mom's feeling and experiencing, and just so you know, like I'm getting help and I'm not sitting in this. We're gonna get through this. And so it was through that. Even then I was like questioning my business, my online business, and working out I wasn't even loving that anymore. And so in that moment, I actually had come across this like free little challenge on social media, and it was like a rewire mindset type of thing. And it was with this performance coach, and I was like, well, I really have nothing to lose, so I'll just plug into it. But somewhere in that, I had learned that I fail to have, it's called permission to leap, and it comes from a place of scarcity. And so because growing up, I never was like certain on where we were living, or feeling safe in my homes or with the men that were in the homes with us, like that safety piece. And so I learned that, and that's kind of where that whole healing process came from. But also in that's where the dance fitness came up, and it was like, why not? Why wouldn't I do this?
So the dance fitness piece is a little bit newer too.
It's new.
Okay.
Yeah. I haven't always done this. I've been an instructor for Turn Up now. It's Turn Up Dance Fitness. And I think I've been certified for 8 or 9 months now, and been teaching them here locally, just at the community theater there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
okay,
it's a great space. Yeah,
the
temporarily.
Studio.
Yeah, the studio and stage door. Yep. And so I've been teaching there for quite a few months now, and I freaking love it. And just to see like women, and that's the thing, is like the women that come in here who maybe have never even danced before, be vulnerable and take up space, and like they're being seen and they're being heard and they're not being judged. And I was like, yes, this is another thing I know I'm supposed to be doing.
That is amazing. I'm so glad that you are doing that.
Yeah. So pursued that, but it all came from a depression, and it's like I would have never explored my options had I not been in that really dark place where my back was against the wall, and it was like, okay, we need to reassess, right? Like what is going on here, but also like where are we going from here? What are we taking from this? And so yeah, dance fitness was born.
Yay.
And now here we are. Yeah, I have a couple instructors that are going to be at the studio. They're already teaching with me.
Have you experienced another depression since then, or have?
No. I've had like my moments of like up and down, and also too because mom is very sick, and so when she's not doing well, because I'm not fully like, we're not, then that triggers me a little bit. And when we're triggered, it just means it's things that we're not healed in, right? So I understand that, and when those times happen, I'm like, it's okay. These are just the parts of me that I'm healing, and that's okay. I'm not scared of why I feel like this anymore. But when I hit that depression, I was like, to Ty, there were so many nights, oh my gosh, I'll never forget, like in the kitchen, just like middle of the night, just bawling. I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm so sad. And I have this beautiful family and this beautiful life and a beautiful marriage. And how could somebody be so sad? Like I just, but we're humans, and chemical imbalance happens, and these things happen,
and COVID was huge.
And I don't think I realized, I mean, here, going through the pandemic, having an online business and being supported with the women in my life, like I almost felt like I was so in my own bubble physically and like actually, right? That when I came out of it, I was like, whoa. I almost forgot what real life was really like, because I was so used to the online world, and then we were all online. I was like, hey, welcome to my party. But no, human connection, we need it. We really need human connection. You can't get that from just being on social media. So I needed to get out. I need to get out in the community, see people, hug women, like, feel that. And that was life-changing for me. Yeah.
What has been like your experience with having an online business and social media and all those platforms and being a woman that needs to be connected physically with people?
Yeah. So for the most part, it's beautiful. And I do believe that like you can really filter out your social media. Like what you consume is totally on you. If it doesn't make you feel good, then like you shouldn't be, right? Like why are we following and why are we consuming that kind of energy? But yeah, I've definitely had my fair share. Thankfully, and like I'll get into that, but like thankfully with Body, the business, like some of our activities as business owners, like they were like mandatory, like you need to do mindset work, you need to get confident and like build that self-esteem. And so thank goodness that personal development was introduced into my life in a time where like I was throwing myself out on social media as well, because that would have been absolutely horrendous. But yeah, there's been some times, like there's been some, we call them trolls. Is that what we call them? Trolls, internet trolls. The ones that hide behind the screen and say things like behind there because they would never actually say it to your face, right? But yeah, I've had like attacks on like the way that I mom, on like funny, I put a funny reel up once about my kids calling me bra. I got eaten alive by other mothers. Like
in the town, would you say?
No, not in town.
Okay.
No. Just on social media in general, because when you're on social media, the reach is endless, right? And especially when they go viral, it can be nasty. And I do think, and I've talked to Tyler about this before too, like I do think that in itself, because that happened through the pandemic, that in itself really, really, really messed me up. Like I didn't, at the time I was like, oh my gosh, I don't care. I was like trying to play it cool, but then all of a sudden it was hard for me to like show up on social media. I was like afraid to say the wrong things or put my kids on there and then someone be like, oh my gosh, you would let your kids actually do that? Like it really did damage me more than I knew it, until I started doing all of this recent work where I'm like, oh, that's why I felt so paralyzed. And like, I couldn't post, I couldn't share anymore. I'd been doing it for 7.5 years every single day. Why couldn't I do it anymore?
You hit a trigger and then it paralyzed
and
you.
like attacking my mother. Like it's one thing, I had pink hair at one point. One time someone accidentally DM'd me and was like, oh my gosh, she ruined pink hair for me. Like accidentally messaged it to me instead of putting it on my post. And so like I've had some nasty things happen, but the mom thing, because like with my mom, like there's issues, right? And so for you to like judge my parenting when my kids are the reason why I am who I am, like it was really nasty. But at the end of the day, like I know the mom that I am, and it was a joke, and like but it can be hard. People live behind the screens, and it can become that reality of like, is it true? Is it not true? I don't know what's real and what's not real anymore, right? You get kind of warped.
So that's kind of what you told yourself, like, during that, to kind of get rid of that.
Yeah. And even like my teenager was like, Mom, come on. Like, I know it's just so hurtful. It hurt my feelings. Really hurt my feelings. But yeah, so yeah, there's been some.
Some stuff.
Yeah, but that going on social media.
Yeah, you do. You subject yourself to it, right?
Totally.
And you're vulnerable, and the more you post and the more you put yourself out there in a real way, the more people are going to eat you alive, right? And I think you just got to kind of do the what's it worth, like, and is it worth anything, right? And there's always going to be people that we're not meant for everybody, right? And I actually think I seen you write something on a post that you had when I went through your Instagram yesterday and just kind of got reacquainted with your stuff, and I love what you put out there. But one of them, I think the tagline was like, we're not meant for everybody. And
not everybody's cup of tea.
No. And that's what we like, right?
And that's, like why would we even force it to be any other way? That's just craziness. That's just, disservice.
What would you tell someone that was kind of, not too sure about themselves? They haven't found their truth yet. They haven't found their voice. They're not sure who they are. They may be lacking in self-love. Like, what would you recommend or kind of share with someone to give them some sort of hope?
Ooh, I got goosies. Get messy. It's going to be so uncomfortable, but like, explore yourself and be curious with yourself and the things that you like and don't like, and but like get deeper than that. I think that a lot of things are very surface level, like I like this and I like that, but I don't like this. It's like, but why? Like really truly understanding why you feel that way when somebody says something, or how that makes you feel. Like, why does it make you feel good? And if you like that and you're passionate about that, like, what is the reason for that? I just think that so many things are so surface level, and then everyone's like, oh, I don't know what I want to do, and I feel so lost and I don't know who I am. But we have to be more playful. We have to be more creative with ourselves, and failing forward, being okay with, like, I might trip and fall 75 times. Like, you can get up for the 76. You're only going to learn things from that. I think, especially, again, back to like being in the society that we are, where there's so much influence and instant gratification and like snap of a button and you can look like this and do this and build this business. And it's like, that is not how it works. It's not how it works. Like, you are the best project you will ever work on. You will always be work. I'm telling you right now, you could be healing for 9 years and working on yourself, and I'm still going to do it until I'm 99 years old. You know what I mean? Like, we're never done. The work is never done. So be okay with that and embrace it, and like get messy and learn about yourself. My gosh. And the only way you can do that is trying new things, taking up new opportunities. I mean, given that you're not burning yourself out, but again, that's, you have to be the adult of your life, right? What is worth your time and your energy and what's not. And when you can start to get like fun with yourself, that's when life gets fun. Like, you really start to live, and you can have like the most amazing 9 to 5 job. And if you're like, well, I have this situation, no, but like, you're not a tree, you're not rooted, first of all. So like, you can do other things in your life, but there's just so many opportunities to expand and do other things. One of the things when I was in that Rewired, and I did the course, actually I ended up signing up for the course and going through the course, and I'm going through it again with my husband. He's doing it too. But one
Rewired?
Rewired, yeah. And one of the things that they had said in there was, oh shoot, I lost my train of thought. Oh my gosh.
You were talking about being planted like a tree.
Oh yeah,
being able to have a...
yeah. Oh no, I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
Shoot, it was so good too. Oh, it was so good. It'll come back to me. I'm sure it will. But then I screw up the momentum.
So get playful, get curious, get messy, and explore, and fail forward. I love how you said that, right?
Oh, the this or that. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Is one of the things that he had said was, like, we're so programmed to, like, you can have this or that. You can do this or this. And when I had said, well, I love my online business, but I just feel like there's something else. And that's when the turn up came up, the dance fitness. And he's like, so why can't you have this and that? Like, you could be a mom and this. You could do this and that. You have this business and this business. He's like, you could have that passion, and that passion. No one said you had to be this or that.
You got to cap out on yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I do that to myself. So that was huge. I was like, oh, I don't have to just be one thing.
Or we think we've been a certain way for so long, we can't change it, and we can't make a new choice, right? And it's like, well, this is it, right?
Yeah,
but
that's a choice, yeah.
Have you ever found yourself pursuing something that didn't serve you? You kind of talked about that just recently, just kind of like giving things energy that
maybe are not.
Yeah,
totally. So it's really funny. I didn't just like wake up one day and was like, I'm going to build a business. That's what I'm going to do in my life. I've tried real estate.
Did you?
Yeah. I started the real estate course and I did not finish it. I also thought I was going to be like a big podcaster, and maybe that might be in my future. I have the equipment. I never did that. I also signed up for interior design, and I love it, and I still am going, like, I'll pick up the course whenever and just do it because I like DIYs. If you follow me on social media, like, I am such a DIY lover. Home design is my jam, and so I thought that's my life calling. It wasn't, but that's okay. Like, I'm not like, oh, I failed all these things. It's like, I learned. I would have never known if those things were going to be for me if I hadn't tried, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Yeah, there's been a few things that are like, no.
You have some misses, right?
Yeah,
There's
totally.
a couple hits and a couple misses.
Totally.
And you just, like you say, you fail forward, you figure it out, and you don't give up, and you explore it. And why don't I like that?
Explore it,
why isn't that
totally.
sitting with me? And
Yeah.
well, that, yeah, that's nice to hear that. It's not always like first time you should have it figured out, right?
No. Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, again, with social media and stuff, it's like you see all these people and it's like, you have no idea the work that those people are doing, the moves they are making behind the screen. They're doing more self-work and exploring and creative play and the masculine and the feminine work. Like, they are doing all the things. It's not just, right? But that's a beautiful thing about life. There's so much opportunity.
Do you want to talk about your marriage at all? Like, you're striving, and I'm sure you do have a happy marriage, but you said it kind of in the interview that you wanted a healthy marriage, and maybe you were kind of going through stuff, and like, do you want to just talk about that?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. So I had realized that it wasn't growing in the ways that we wanted to when, like I had mentioned, I was very like resistant and restrained. Like, even just like the physical of touch and stuff like that. Like, there's so many times where I kind of like, oh, just because of the abuse and everything in our home and just all of that, right? And so that was really important to me that I wasn't going to continue that into our marriage. There was also like, if I really think there was a few things. The physical, the affection part was the biggest thing. Like, I didn't want to be the wife that was getting the compliments and like all of the, right? And I'm just like this like hard ass, cold, non-responsive, like non-affectionate human. Not that I was like totally unaffectionate, but like, you know what I'm saying?
You
like
felt it.
naturally, like, yeah, like it just didn't come. That's the word for it. It's not that I wasn't, it didn't come natural. And I wanted it to be natural. I wanted there to be love and play and like sex and everything, like everything that a marriage should be, and not fear of if we're gonna get bad, fear if things are gonna get rocky, fear if, right? Like, and not that even my husband's even capable of doing any of that. I feel like if anyone, it would be me to be worried about, I feel like. But I just, I didn't want to bring that scarcity into my marriage and that closed offness that I was living in. And Ty and I talk about it all the time. I'm like, oh gosh, remember that time when we first started dating? Like, I was really
Did you feel like
closed
maybe there
off.
was a point where you weren't going to be able to make it, or?
No,
That's good.
no. I never doubted that. There was always a little bit of fear of like, if I can't give the love, like what's going to happen long term, for sure. For sure. But when you're in those situations, like, I always look at it, it's like leverage, right? We think about doing something and it's like, we're always so afraid, but it's like, what if you don't? Like, what if you don't do that thing, do the healing or do the work or take the job or take the opportunity? Like, what's harder?
Pick your hard.
Pick your hard at the end of the day. Yeah.
What's your favorite part about being married now?
My favorite part about being married, oh my gosh. The adventures. We're so adventurous. We're like children. And I love it because I didn't see play in our homes, right? Like, nobody played together. Like, they didn't laugh. They weren't, I mean, they might be drinking and partying and that's a fun time for them, but like, it wasn't that love, that connection. That's what I wanted to say to you, actually, when you said, was there something that was like missing and you knew something, the connection? Like, I was like emotionally detached completely. And I think I always was in every relationship, right?
Just kind of shut off.
Just like
cold,
shut off,
rigid.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you did the work and you found the self-love and you did the hard things and you didn't give up and you pursued a life of meaning for you. And when I think about you, it's like, it's just kind of fascinating because I've known you for some time. Like, I think we went to school together and you've always been there. And I'm always just like, look at her go, like you're always like actively pursuing someone says obnoxiously yourself, right?
Yeah.
And I just think that's you, like this,
Thank you.
I mean, I don't like when people like a queen, but like you're like
Oh.
just a sparkly queen. I just feel like you would inspire so many people just to take that leap, and you haven't gave up and you've been consistent, and yeah, I just think it's really inspiring. And yeah, I also kind of just knew like there's not someone that does that and has that much to give without having been through something extremely hard and challenging and having to overcome, right? And I didn't know your story as today, like as of today, this is the most I've ever known about you. And, you know, I commend the courage that it takes to share kind of those vulnerable parts of yourself. And yeah, I just think there's so much of your story that I honestly relate to, right? And it sounds like the ways that you grew up and the things that you felt in relationships. And so, yeah, like you've definitely helped me and struck a chord with me. And I'll take something from this about just being braver to be myself and, you know, this or that. And yeah, there's a lot. I'm excited for you to start a dance community here, right?
And we need it. It's gonna be so fun. Yeah.
Absolutely. I know you're talking about podcasting, and I think that would be a great fit for you. And yeah, keep putting yourself out there and helping other people, right? Because you do that. You help me.
We help each other.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
Because we get it.
Yes, we do.
We get it.
Yeah, it feels really nice to have a conversation with you. And it's like, yeah, that's a good part about this project, right? I wouldn't be able to have this conversation or know you so deeply. And other people are going to get that experience too. And I think that's just really good. People need to know you.
Well, thank you.
Is there anything like that I didn't ask you that you want to share or?
I just own who you are. Like, I can't say it enough. Oh, when you grow up in the shadows of yourself and you're being like everyone else because that's what might get you love or liked or seen or heard. And then like you grow up not knowing who you are, like that's such a disservice. Like you're totally robbing yourself of the joy of life. And
what could be the first step for someone who needs to do that? Own who they are.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Get into your dance class.
Yeah, get into a dance class. Let me get you working. I would say look at the parts of your life that truly make you feel uneasy and really understand why. The parts of why, whether it's the environment or the work that you do or maybe something that triggers you there, but really understanding like why you feel the way you do about certain parts of your life. I would start there, and then ask yourself like the way that you are showing up in life and the things that you do say, are they true? I always say to like my clients and a lot of my girlfriends, even in our little wine chats, there's a difference between knowing. There's like, oh, I know. Like I know information, I'm educated in that, I know. And then there's like knowing it to your core. And so I always say like, do you know who you are? Like, do you tell yourself that I'm this, this, and this, and this because that's what you want to be? Or like, do you really truly know that like who you are? Are you showing up as that person? Are you really acting as that person? And yeah, at the end of the day, you get one life. We get one life here and you don't even know how long you've got here.
So easy to forget, eh?
It is, yeah. It's time to like live in your own life, in your own lane, in your own reality, create it. Because you can create any reality you want for yourself, even in the hard times.
Well, and especially like someone like yourself and probably like myself too, right? The realities we knew are just, they're kind of shit.
Yeah.
Right? So what better opportunity to create something new and beautiful.
You get to rebuild yourself over and over as many times as you need to. You can rebuild yourself. Yeah.
So where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me on, well, obviously on Facebook. I'm Shayla Fiorentino. And then actually my Instagram is still at Shayla Fiorentino. We are working on websites. My husband's techie. And so that's been really nice. We're kind of having fun behind the scenes working on a website, so
Nice.
hopefully I can have that out for you guys right away. And then my Turn Up Dance Fitness as well. All my information is on Instagram.
Perfect.
And then Show Up with Shay is on Facebook for Turn Up. So I'm kind of everywhere. But if you just look up Shayla Fiorentino, I'll just
You'll
pop
find
up.
it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, my name is not very, I feel like that's kind of, there's probably not very many of us out there. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming on the
Thank you for having
podcast. And yeah, it's been a pleasure to speak with you. Wish you nothing but the best.
Thank
And
you.
thank you so much for
been an
sharing
honor.
parts of yourself and your story.
Anytime.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Morgan. I'm the producer of the Hold On to Your Heart Project podcast. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. If you'd like to find out more about what we're all about and check out other episodes, you can find us at holdontoyourheartproject.com or on YouTube and Instagram at Hold On to Your Heart Project. Thanks for stopping by.